welcome to the website's call. Ooh. Good deal. Do you guys know if Ruth or Anita or there's a few other folks who I thought were going to be trying to use this time for some of the, to introduce some of the new She Code Africa mentees to some work?
I think they did it an hour ago in a separate call in the newcomers one.
Oh, I see. Good deal.
Hi.
Cynthia. Hey, Cynthia.
Hi, it's good news.
Oh, good. Hi, good. Did how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Good. Nice to have you. Good news. Do you know, or Cynthia, do you know, did you all just meet an hour ago?
Yes, we just did a few minutes ago for the
Okay.
note contribution. Yes.
Okay. Very good. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
so actually, so good news. Do you? Cynthia was forced to do this last Friday in the best of ways. Do you want to take just a moment to introduce yourself to some of the folks on this call?
Okay, I'll go ahead. My name is Good News Sandy. I am assigned to work on the community handbook project, the documentation for the handbook. So I'm part of the She Code Africa participants, and I'm happy to be here. I'm glad and I'm excited to learn something new from the Layer 5 community. I look forward to working with everyone and learning something new. Thank you.
Nice. Oh, very good. Nice to have you. Good news.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to apologize for the rooster in the background here. He's somewhat impolite with the interruptions. So, very good. All right. So then, since it sounds like Cynthia and Good News and a few others that are joining under the She Code Africa program that you all have just recently met, that we don't need to do much. We don't have to take it slow here then, I guess, since you guys have already been introduced over there. Good. All right. Well, with that, Josh, I guess you're up first. You've got a
Yeah.
discourse.
So yeah, discourse. So I'll just share my screen. Yeah. So from the last time we met, the hero is complete, the header is complete, and the footer is almost complete. Yashvardhan is working on the mobile view for the footer and the fonts. And so if we can directly move on to the plugins, or is there anything to discuss on these three things, any improvements?
On the social shares or the social buttons, do those behave as we would expect?
So you mean the hover colors?
Yeah.
I think I'll add it. So Yashvardhan was having some issue adding those, so I just added this an hour before ago. So I'll do that by tonight or something. That's not
Nice.
that it will work. That's not an issue, I guess.
Okay.
And yeah, the ask a question button is also added by, I think, Yash Pandey, which opens up for a new topic.
Nice.
So do we need to have two ask a questions?
It's not the end of the world, because it's the main call to action that's special for the hero. Like, is probably something better to have, uh, like a breakdown of popular topics or something. Like if there's topics on on layer 5 projects or general topics for service meshes or other cloud native technology, that's probably a better thing to be showing. Um, there's quite a bit of space that we've got. Like the hero itself is pretty large, especially for not really showing much. It's actually showing all the same stuff that you already see, other than just hello, you know.
Yeah. So I
'Cause-
I asked Augustine to like if we can have three sections over here itself and pointing to the like let's say one to the discussions related to the community and one related to the meshery or one related to landscape or something like quick actions links directly from here. So
that makes
like
sense.
yeah, so I think I proposed this
Let's like
design
more
to
than
him,
rice.
but
Does not like rice.
I guess he has bring up some different one over here.
Yeah, there's a second version of the hero that is that I think there's an early design of in Figma. Um, it wasn't quite what I was hoping for. Yeah, I was thinking something somewhat similar to what you just described, which was like, maybe like three columns or three boxes, just highlighting some of the more popular categories. Josh, do you know if it's possible to query for something like latest unanswered question, um, or something that's dynamic that we might end up showing here? Could be like
So like do you mean to show them for the staff or moderator stuff or for the public ones?
I mean, to your point, it's a good potential thing to do for depending upon what type of user you are. But yeah, in general, if you're either unauthenticated or just a user, that that you might see some statistics. Like it might just be, I guess, in part what I'm thinking, like that latest button down below.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wasn't trying to duplicate anything that might already be there, but just something that's dynamic, like this month's top rated post or most viewed topic of the week, or yeah.
Okay, so like the thing is, there are like we can run those queries, but it's something that I have discovered is for the admin staff. So I'll look into if we can do that thing for like we can just add it over the home page or somewhere like here. So I'll look into it and will let you know as early as possible. But
Nice.
yeah, for staff it's already present. I'll just discuss about if we when we go to the plugins part.
Okay.
Is Yashvardhan on call today?
I don't see him. Yash Pandy, Mr. Pandy,
No,
can you
not
ping Yash Varden and see if he'll join? He was just messaging earlier. Thank you.
uh, okay, then I think we can move on to the plugins.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think for the first plugin we already discussed in the last meeting regarding what. So this is not a plugin. This is the thing which requires either a plugin or a captcha or only social login. So that decision is to be made yet. So is it something we'll discuss right now, or we move on to the next second one?
Is that just a config? Okay. There might be a couple of things that we're able to answer somewhat quickly. So I guess one is a Kismet only usable if you're subscribed to a Kismet.
Yeah, I looked into if they had any free plans or something.
Okay.
uh, but it doesn't have something like that or any support for open source or anything.
Right. Okay. Then so yeah, well, in terms of only allowing social login and not login by email, is that just a configuration of the same plugin?
No. So that is a totally different thing. Like that is a plugin to enable Akismet on your Discourse forum. So that plugin is only that like it's just a link between your Akismet account and your forum. So like it will enable the Akismet uh, on your forum. So that's that plugin is entirely different, and this we can do by just changing a few settings on the admin settings on the forum.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I mean, for now, I would probably leave open as long as we have a CAPTCHA, then I would leave open the email sign up, because that's going to catch that's going to do the job of catching most of the fake accounts.
Yeah, okay, definitely. Then so the second one was the chat integration that I've already enabled, and so it will allow filtering. So that is like that's pretty similar to what GitHub does. You can look into the notifications, and you can also fix like which category, which repo should publish an notification. So here we can do is which category should publish a notification or which tag and all those things. And so there are a number of options, but I think Slack will be preferable if we want to implement it. So I've already added it to our plugins. I've already added all the plugins currently. That will be, yeah. So these are the things that we can look into for Slack. So uh, this can be like this is just an overview of what that plugin will do. The third one is the solved plugin. So that also we had discussed, but just a thing to mention that we can we can make it category specific. So I'll just show it how we can do it. Mm. So if you move on to categories, and if you edit it, settings, so here you have an option to allow topic owner and staff to mark or replace the solution. So this option, so you can manually add some topics or categories for which solved will be enabled, and others for which solved cannot be enabled. The next one is the yearly review. So I have not added it currently because I don't feel will be like this can be a later item, but it would give you like who created the most posts and who read it most and all those review at the end of a year. Both for the users, it would be all this stuff, and for the topics, it would be this stuff. The next one is the GitHub plugin. Yeah.
Josh, on the yearly review, is it possible that can that same plugin be used on a weekly or a monthly basis?
No.
Or did they? Okay, that's really interesting. I would be. This is gonna be. I'd be surprised if like throughout the year they weren't giving you at least like a current snapshot of what the end of the year is going to look like. But that's weird. Because I mean, imagine if you were the plugin writer for that, and people are going to only use your plugin once a year. Like, wow. Um, yeah.
Okay, I'll dig deeper if we have any workaround around this for something like we can change the time span.
Okay.
The next one is the GitHub, which has three options: linkbacks, badges, and permalinks. So linkbacks and permalinks are like you can attach any discussion to on GitHub using a discourse bot or something. Like you can have a link to the discourse discussion on GitHub, and the badges will be like if you can assign badges to users on the basis of their GitHub contributions. Like anyone has 50 commits on GitHub and that user is on also on Discourse, then we can give him a badge like a maintainer or whatever, if so, if that is required. So these are the three options that GitHub plugin would give us. And the badges, the we can also fix that what will be the limit or what will be the criteria for assigning badges and what kind of badges to be assigned. The next one is the data explorer. So this is what I was talking about.
So sorry, Josh, on that, a quick question on the GitHub
Yeah.
plugin. Is that a one-way plugin? If you would take me through a scenario of how that would work, someone would open up a thread in discuss.layer5.io. They would make reference to a GitHub issue, asking about it, talking about it or something. And Discourse, this plugin would go to GitHub, gather up some additional information about the issue.
No. So I'll just show you. So this is what can be done.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, that's more helpful.
Yeah. So the data explorer is so yeah, this is the one which we can maybe use, or so this would give us the most common likers in all the queries, and also if you want to add additional queries, you can write down the query. Blossom, can you just mute? Yeah, thank you. So I'll just show once how we'll run it. So yeah, this is how we can. So maybe if we want to, then we can like add it manually for the thing that we're talking, like the monthly review or something from this.
Yeah.
But I don't guess that would be a good solution. But this is a way we can do it.
Nice. Yeah. Hey, by the way, these are not, how earlier we were talking about potentially on the hero showing some kind of a statistic like most viewed post of the week or something like that, that like you can achieve that type of a query through this plugin, although like exposing that query as an endpoint, as something that you could call from JavaScript. I suspect that this doesn't facilitate that.
Yeah, this won't be doing that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the next one is the LinkedIn login. So that's just to enable the one more social login, that's LinkedIn. Then we do have user notes, and that I have not enabled, but maybe we can use it in the future. Then we do have voting, where we also have a vote limit, and this is also specific to category, similar to the one we saw in solved. We can enable voting for only specific category posts and all, and we can also limit a vote for a user, like our user can only vote for 6 times on different topics total, or we can do that. So it's we can fix it. And then we do have the sitemap for better so that crawlers can get it better. So this is the sitemap plugin that will, and we can generate the sitemap from this. and the last one is the calendar, and the calendar is not actually what we thought of, and it won't help in that way. Like we can have a calendar similar to the one we have on our layer 5 website, but it's basically to add up any event. So what it will allow us, like let's say I attach a calendar to a post, and then in any comment or it I give a specific deadline for that. So what will happen is when that deadline is over, the post might get deleted and all that stuff. So that might be that would be the use case for the calendar plugin as per them.
Makes sense. But by the way, on the voting, maybe it, it seems intuitive to me that if there are user restrictions and enabled for how many times someone can vote, that like minimally it would just be that a given user can only vote on a given topic once, or they can only up level that topic once. This voting is this for like popularity, to say, oh, that was very helpful, like this answer, this topic, this thread really helped me, and so they'll vote it up in that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it would seem like allow users to vote on topics, allow users to see who voted, allow users to vote on their activity. Okay. Voting limit. How many active votes are level 0 users allowed? Level 1, level 2, level 3. How many votes? Like, it's interesting, because I would have expected, like, maybe this is just inherent to the plugin, is that for a given topic, like like greetings or things, like for this topic,
Yeah.
that
So
as
this is the
okay. So can you try to vote again?
it won't allow you.
Okay, so inherently, like already, you can only vote up. You can only vote up a topic one time as an individual. Okay.
Remove also.
And then, well, I guess what's a little bit of a head scratcher is like, or to me, and we're having this discussion, hopefully publicly and openly, as all of you on the phone or on the call can think about this, that this is one of those interesting plugins that controls user behavior, and sometimes in trying to encourage or control the behavior, you end up encouraging behavior you didn't expect to encourage. So I don't have a good example of that right now, but
Yeah, I got your point, what you are trying to convey.
But if the system was simple, like if you're not allowed to place more than one vote on a given thread, okay, fine. But then why wouldn't you allow everyone to vote at least once, 0 or 1 times on every thread? Because as a user, if that was the system, yeah, I guess. So by limiting the number of votes they have, you're trying to encourage them to really only place votes on the most helpful, most important topics. But even if you didn't restrict, like every user only has 4 votes a month or whatever it is, that it's not like, as a user, if I can vote up one thread, if I can vote up every thread once, I'm not going to go vote up every thread once, because I do want for the important ones to be elevated. So I don't know, just thinking out loud.
Yeah, so that are the plugins we are using mostly for now, and I've enabled and configured all of them currently. and we can move on to have any extensions to them that we already discussed.
Josh, I mean, of the things that you were of the plugins that you're suggesting to use, and I think of the configurations that you were, the ways in which you were suggesting that we would configure them, I didn't really see any red flags. I know that you've got some open questions, like on the chat integration. Hey, it feels like Slack is the obvious choice for us, and then you have a further, which I like. Like, yes, that's right. Like, I like unequivocally, like that's right. But then, okay, well then, what channel should we send messages to, and how, based on what type of tags or what, like, um, on a lot of these, I think you can just start, or you can take your best guess. And like one thing, it like, to answer this question, it kind of depends on how it is that people end up using discuss.layer5.io. Are most of the questions in people, users of the project, of our projects, asking for help? If that's what most of the questions end up being, which I think right now we don't really know if that's going to be the case. If that is the case, then there's most of you on the call, by the way, probably don't see this channel in Slack. You're more than welcome to join any channel that you can find in Slack. Not everyone, or when someone joins the Layer5 community Slack by default, you get put into a few different channels, but one of them that you don't get put into is a channel called support. That channel was created by a different, a contributor who's not on the call. That person had created it because they had a lot of questions about the projects, and they were just looking for help and answers and help. And so they had wanted a dedicated channel to help, to like, how do I use Meshery, and how do I use these projects? So Josh, I think you see where I'm going. Like, if it might be that as we go to create the categories of different topics in discuss.layer5.io, that maybe those that are topics soliciting help on Layer 5 projects, maybe that gets sent to the support channel.
Mm-hmm.
But it might be something that we end up having to, we take our best guess and then adjust as we go.
Yeah. Also, so like we also can add tags and all those things.
All right.
Okay.
By default, do you know if Discourse allows users to create their own tags?
Yeah, it allows. I have tried it, and I'll just show it by new. So let me edit your post itself. Yeah, so this is the tag I created. I can just write it like test, and it would be create test, and this is how you can do it.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's because you're an admin or not. Probably not.
Yeah, so I already made another account, and I'm starting to look onto the user experience and all those stuff.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so that's most of the things for discuss. So I think we can like I'll try to answer all the like I'll try to find solutions to all the things that we had discussed today, and we'll try to give the solutions maybe in 1 or 2 days on Slack itself, so that we can just go further with the this deployment, and then we can move on how we'll be using the discourse. So
yeah, the actual categories and topics.
Yeah. So I'll try adding some categories and topics. So I'll request if anyone can also create accounts and have so just move around and look at the experience, and if you have any issues or anything that we can add or remove, then you can just tell me, or if you want to do it yourself, you can just do it. I'll give you admin access to it. So maybe the others already know about this, but maybe the new comers who have joined today, so maybe for them this might be an thing to explore.
Yeah. Um, so Austin, did you hear the discussion that we had earlier on the hero?
Yeah, I got most of it regarding the implementation of most field and some other um, elements, properties and features rather.
Wow. You're not audible, Austin. I did hear you say yes. So
Okay, yeah, I got the feedback about implementing most of the features we had on earlier designs, like the most viewed, most liked, frequently asked, such features might be on the hero. Because I
nice.
remember from the last time when we had that you made mention of us not wanting two heroes, and that could be in later versions of the discussed hero.
Right on. Um, as you think about the yeah, as you iterate on that type of a design, there's an open question as to whether or not that data is available. The data like most popular topic or so
uh
yeah.
so I think I'll let you know by tonight itself, so like then you can look into our design. If that's available, then we can move forward with that, Augustine. So I'll ping you by tonight for that.
Okay, okay, all right.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so that's from the, so this is linked to the discuss design review. If anyone wants to have a look at, I'll just paste it in the chat if it's not already done.
Nice. And then so as we go to tie up this conversation, I just want to be sure that for Blossom and Good News, Elizabeth, Cynthia, Joy, just because you all are new to some of the projects here, that I just wanted to clarify that the project that we were just reviewing, it's well, it's a new subdomain called discuss.layer5.io. It's a discussion forum. The discussion forum, it uses another open source project called Discourse. And no doubt all of you have probably used the Discourse discussion forum in the past on various sites. So discourse.org is the type of server that we'll be running. And we're just taking and reskinning or customizing the look and feel and the plugins of Discourse, of our own instance of Discourse. We're putting it under discuss.layer5.io. And the purpose of the forums is so that people can ask questions about the projects that we do here, get help on them. Also for them to ask questions about cloud native infrastructure or about service meshes and Kubernetes and Docker and that kind of a thing. And so it's not a very big project because we're, reskinning an existing discussion forum. And so a lot of the discussion has been about what plugins to enable, what settings they should have. Eventually, and very shortly, it isn't too long from now that the site would go live and that we would make a few other determinations, like what the initial categories will be, how to seed a little bit of content so that when the first few visitors come, that it's not totally empty. Also, if the discussion forum ends up getting a lot of traction, and sorry, we have a rooster that's loud. If the forum gets a lot of traction, okay, well, eventually, just like there are a number of community managers that assist people in Slack or help them get resources or other things, there would also be the need potentially for forum moderators. And how would we break that down? Would there be different moderators per category? So there's a number of unexplored things just yet, but that's the gist of the effort. Josh was just saying, so Josh is leading the effort, and but there's a few different people who are helping, and he was just extending an open invitation to any of you that are interested in the effort in this project. That right now there's just a sandbox site or a development site that's running. That's what he's sharing. If anyone wants access to it, please just say so in Slack or ping Josh, and he'll get you access to it so that you can learn as we go and familiarize. And so, yeah. Right now, there's not a lot of, there were only like 3 areas to do kind of design for or customization of. It was the nav bar at the very top, the green hero section, hello, and then at the very bottom, it's the footer. And these were so small, like there were 2 or 3 other, so Yash, there's a few folks who are helping, but there's just so little to contribute. So to Blossom's question, it's a great question, is like, okay, great. So I get, she gets the goal, but like, so how do we help? And the answer, it's not the best answer because there's like the nav bar, the footer, and the hero section. Those are like basically the only things to design and implement, and they're fairly simple, and they've almost been done. So the way to actually engage and assist here is you're most welcome to, I think it might be a little bit difficult for you, anyone, to do because it requires so much context. But don't let that stop you. The way to help is probably to get in and help organize on what plugins should be used and how they should be configured. Like the voting plugin that we were just talking about is a good example. So the question, I won't go, never mind. I won't go through a specific question on the voting one, but rather I'll just say that each of those plugins, they can be configured in different ways. And we just generally need help thinking about that, thinking through it and suggesting what the right configuration is. So cool. So that's one of the projects. Let's go to a couple of other projects that are going on.
Yeah. So I think we can move on to the next topic.
Okay.
So the next one is the markup schema and a few SEO changes. Our site didn't have a schema markup before, and so I've added it. So if anyone's not familiar with schema markup, so this is the code, basically what schema markup looks like, and I'll also show what schema markup is. Let's say no, it's anything. So yeah, so you can see that there is extra information apart from the description that's the created by owner, launched in, available, and also the few links and all. Also, if you see about a few people, so yeah, this is also a part of schema markup as well. Or if you see any organization, they would also have something over here. Probably, yeah. So this is all this is all what means by schema markup, and this so this is basically to improve crawlers so that our search results go up. So when next time, so this will help Layer 5 go up on search results and gain more popularity. So I've added the schema markup for now and added a few basic uh, links and basic items, but if we want to add anything more, then I would just ask it to Lee or anyone else has any idea for anything.
So Josh, as part of the website layer5.io is relatively young. Like there's a number of people on the call that helped create and release that site. I don't know, only a month and a half ago or so, like not too long ago. And there's the site is, it's based on Gatsby. It's what Josh is showing here, but it will grow and grow, and it is of decent size right now, but is hopefully only very hopefully it'll be a lot bigger than it is today. As it grows, one thing that we need to be aware of and help have good practices around and help have good framework around is search engine optimization from a few different perspectives. One one is having a fast loading site. One is having the site well described to web crawlers. So each of the search engines, they have bots that go around and crawl through your web pages and analyze them for their content and for what they're about. And search engine optimization is a very long topic, but just trying to ensure that each of the pages on the Layer5.io site are web crawler friendly or are optimized for search engine analysis and placement. That's the topic that Josh is talking about. So Josh, there's one of the, it sounds like right now there's kind of two different, well, there's a few different things that are being done on each page to ensure that they're well represented. So one of them is to ensure that if you're sharing a link on Layer5.io, that it would, and you're sharing a link in a social forum like on Twitter or on LinkedIn, something like that, that the correct image, like a page specific image would like unfurl, and a preview of that image would show in your social share. Josh, is what you're showing here with this schema, is that related?
No, it's so this is basically for rich results on Google itself, not for the social shares.
Okay. And is this index schema, is this done only once?
No, so you can decide on, like I only added it for the index page only, but you can also have it on multiple pages itself. So this is basically, let's say you search for Microsoft, and apart from this heading and this description, you get these four things, right? So this is what this comes from schema markup. So how it looks like apart from the title and description, that is stored in the schema markup. So also, let's say, so these profiles, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, so this would come up from I've added the three icons: Twitter, LinkedIn, and GitHub. So it would show up Layer 5 and all the founded CEO and everything, and you can also have the three icons. In the Twitter would link to the, so this is a way, and this improves. So because of the structured results, the crawlers, so this gets very much boost on search engines. So that's basically why we are adding it.
Okay. Yeah.
So there is also another thing named Google Rich Results, and I'll also add that once I understand how it works exactly. So by the way, Navendu had talk to me regarding these two things, the schema markup and the rich results. So I'm just, so I'll like,
Nice.
yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and Navindu had also talked about, I think, was it Wikimedia and
Yeah,
getting.
yeah, Wikimedia as well.
So for all of the rest of the contributors on the call, with respect to that the schema plugin that's being used, um, is this something that they're able to help out with across the other pages, or is this sort of only selectively done a couple of times?
You can edit n number of times. It is so I have added it into SEO component itself. So like, as you know, for each page you have an SEO title and SEO description. Similar to that, you would have the schema markup. So for that, you can add this JSON data for any page you want.
Okay, so this is a good question. So okay, so for and by the way, I didn't attend. Obviously, I didn't attend the meeting that the She Code Africa contributors had just a little bit earlier today. And so I don't know how full everyone's plate is, or if people are still looking for like small areas to jump into and kind of, build off of. But if that's the case, this SEO component, like so Tanuj and Josh, this could be something for the two of you guys to do. Is like there are certain pages that don't have SEO done on them, don't have a description and metadata written up about them, and aren't done in such a way that the social image would show, or that that it's being presented in the right way. So if that's the case for certain pages, like creating an issue or two that shows the format in which this should be done, I think that would be really helpful to newcomers.
Okay. Okay, so we can look into and we can make those issues. I'll talk to Tanuj and do that.
And just referring to like this one, or referring to some existing implementations, will maybe help cut down your write-up time.
Yeah.
That's nice. This is good.
So that's the one point. And the third one was, so this is just a question that we do have a programs page on Layer5. And so do we add this She Code Africa program as well into uh, here, over here?
Totally.
Yeah, so I think I'll have to create an issue for that as well.
That's a great thing for any of those contributors to do, actually, is to create a new, is to do that, especially given the context that they'll have for the how the program is described. Because if you click on like Hacktoberfest, for example, or that each of the individual programs have their own description, that they have their own specific goals, and so yeah, it's great.
Yeah, so I think that's all from my side for this meeting. So I will hand over to Revan.
Okay, actually, yeah. So Mert, before we're not going to get into your topic today, Mert. A couple of reasons. One, we only have 6 minutes left. Two, that's an awesome thing that you've written. It's really probably best placed inside of like the Friday's community meeting, or in the general channel, or is something for, I think, the maintainers to consider, like to understand what Raven is and how to potentially support it, whether or not it's related enough to existing projects, to how to uplift it. And so maybe a separate evaluation, just because. But that's good.
Hi, friends. I just want to say that it is related with the software tools. Maybe package manager on shared hosting, the Akismet, and the cPanel itself. And I forgot the project's name, but it was some kind of a project that analyzes the web traffic, and if there is a malware or exploit, it detects it. The malware or exploit or some backdoor which is running in something like rootkit, but on web browser or web traffic. And I designed that Raven, uh, some kind of, something similar to Nighthawk, but Raven has a meaning in our culture, in Turkish culture, Asian Turkish culture, the old culture. It is that to know the dark sides of the psychology and to get rid of that psychology and to an alignment, some kind of that, and I choose that name to uh, make our security consciousness better and better. Um, that's it. Simple.
Cool. Yeah, Mert, we might should set aside some time on the community call to have you introduce people to the project. And I can see how it's, yeah. I won't comment further just because I'll save the comments for that presentation.
Yes. It's maybe it's
Nice.
not related with our today's topic, but I just want to share my ideas because you were talking about Akismet, and maybe we can replace Raven with Akismet with Raven or the other way around. I forgot the native speaking. So in short, we can use Raven rather than Akismet. It's not about money, but it is about control. If I write or if I write or if we all together write that source code base, it will be better and better.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. You could see how potentially people would use that on a service mesh in front of, if they're in front of their requests that are being sent to their services, like, hey, to maybe make a more intelligent mesh that you would run Raven as well, so that your services are protected. So yeah, I think there's merit to that.
Okay, it is not a quick 25 minutes project, 15 it's not a project that will be done in short time. Uh, so um, anyone can join and um, anyone can join the design. We will discuss that later, but as you understand, it is a security project.
Makes sense. Nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mert. Good deal. All right.
Thanks.
Well, hey, with the last couple of minutes that we have left, a couple of things. One is I want to make sure that the newcomers under She Code Africa feel warmly welcomed. And we talked a lot about discuss.layer5.io today, which is good. It's an open project. It might be a little bit hard to find a foothold within. So I wanted to bring up another project that is a little more straightforward, a little more easier to digest, to get into. There's actually quite a few of them, and I don't know, maybe the newcomer, maybe Joy and Blossom and Cynthia and Good News. Maybe your plates are already full. If so, fantastic. If not, a couple of projects to inquire about. One of them is called Get Nighthawk. This is an early version of its website, and if you can't tell, it's incomplete. Or it should be obvious, like it's incomplete. And this site is based on Jekyll. It needs some additional content. That's part of the reason that it's incomplete. It's that like, there's a framework, a layout, and a structure, but the content needs to be updated. So that's a little bit hard for anyone to just go create. But there's aspects of it, like its docs area, that need some love or need some additional thought. That like, if you like here, like I'll give an example of one of the issues is that The site itself is somewhat responsive. So this site is for an open source project called Get Nighthawk. Actually, what Get Nighthawk is doesn't really matter at the moment, but the fact that it's a project and it would have documentation, it has an issue here where the website has a global navigation up top, and so if we go to the main site, we minimize, we reduce the width of the page itself. It's responding, and that's great. And then at some point, it changes to be responsive for the menu. That's good. It's a little bit messed up, right? Like you would expect the menu is not centered. It's probably off to the right. And if Vinayak is on the call, which I think he is, then Vinayak, like, we should make it off to the right. And Vinayak, don't take these that don't, like, you, I think you've been asked to do a number of other things. So I don't take this as any of these being misses. Rather, I mention these because these are actually good things for others on the call to bear weight on, to come to address. Something like the color of the menu itself. There's a couple of issues. Like, one, we probably want to change the color of the menu. Two, when you hover over and you get, there's a small transition effect that's generally pleasing, although you'll also notice that the words themselves move a little, which I don't know is the intended effect. It's anyway. So there's a couple different issues, but if someone visits the docs, what we end up with is a sub menu. We end up with two menus. So one for the navigation of the site, and then one for navigating the various structure of the documentation itself, which having a hamburger menu like this for the docs unto its own, I think that's okay. I think that that's somewhat intuitive and okay. But having two layers of it is probably not the most intuitive, or would probably be a little bit difficult for folks. And I know that, so by the way, as we go through this, I had mentioned Vinayak Sharma as, I was talking to Vinayak, and as we go through this, if this site is of interest to anyone, just like I was saying for discuss.layer5.io to see Josh Patel, for Get Nighthawk, please see Vinayak Sharma. And I know he has a number of different outstanding issues that he's working to see done. But anyway, this is a bit more of a conventional project to engage within. That's nice. Yeah. So with that, questions on general questions or questions on Get Nighthawk?
So I just wanted to ask whether, like, for learn.layer5.io, just saw that there's an issue posted for the navbar of that. So is that work also, like, we have begun working on that also?
Not to my knowledge, but we
Because
should.
I just saw an issue.
Yeah, it's an ideal project for it's an ideal project for the fact that new people are starting. It's the issue is that the site hasn't been designed yet. Those designs haven't gone through review. The framework and structure that we're looking to build for the site hasn't been created yet. So it's it'll be a little bit messy, I think, as people try to engage now. One issue with having the fact that there's an issue open for Learn Layer 5 right now is, like, Austin, that nav bar that you've put up, that, like, conceptually that would not be encoded into the Layer 5 IO repo. It's a separate site. It will be in a separate repo. That's not because we desire for it to look or feel separate. That's because it's on a different subdomain, and is more of a technical issue with DNS. And so, Josh, to your question,
Yeah, that's why I was just wondering, because I thought that it won't be on that repo, and I didn't saw a new repo, so I was looking into whether it is something different or what.
Right. Yeah. I think people are trying to do the right thing by making sure that we're moving briskly on, on that initiative, on the learn.layer5.io initiative. And yeah, I think like, hey, the work can ensue. Like people can create a module and can create components for the site. Behind the scenes, we'll need to figure out if there's a separate repo or how we're going to do DNS to make sure that everybody lands at the same place. Or so in short, Josh, I guess the answer is yes. That like, if we can get through a few designs, and by designs, I both mean visual designs, sure. But more importantly, I mean architectural designs about the modules and how the site would work itself. Are we intending for people to log in? Are we going to, do we expect for it to behave like a content management system, or, there's a lot of those kinds of discussions that need to happen. So I think for someone like Nikhil or Tanuj or yourself, or there's some of the maintainers that are here, in order for us to move forth on Learn Layer 5, we'll need to identify one or more maintainers who are willing to and kind of ready to lead the project, so that we can so we can get some of those other questions answered, so that we can really start in earnest on Learn Layer 5. So that's something for anyone who's a maintainer on the call or an aspiring maintainer, something for you to think about. If you would, please ping me if you're interested. If you're interested in trying to steward the initiative. If we don't get any volunteers, then I might suggest that it might not be the best time to start on Learn Layer 5, because we just don't have the right support there to make sure that everybody's, to make sure that we've got the right design architecture. So
basically, I don't have any experience on that architecture part, but after for the discuss.layer5.io, I think I will be looking forward to do that as well.
Nice. Josh, that's great. So we're a little bit over time here, so I'll say this very briefly, that's great in part because we're not looking to use a separate content management system, a separate learning management system, but rather make Learn Layer 5 as an extension of the current framework, the current Gatsby system that we have. So yes, there'll be some new architectural things to study, but not in a significant way. So I think that's highly feasible. That's what I'm saying. Okay. For all of the rest of us asking ourselves what the heck Learn Layer 5 is, I won't describe that now, but we'll put a link into these meeting minutes and probably drop one into Slack as well, so that everybody can get an idea as to what the goal is there. Nice. Okay. Given that we're over time, anybody have any other questions for today? Good. I got to say, what a great call. Lots of new faces. Very nice to see people. We've got Mert, who's got a suggestion on a whole new project. That's super exciting. Yeah. So our next, I think we do have another community call. Anyway, we'll see you on the next call. I think there's one on Wednesday for Meshri, one on Thursday for newcomers, one on Friday for community. Another one, I think, this Thursday for the continuous integration systems. But good. So very nice to meet all of you that are new. One thing that we didn't do today in a horrible, terrible way is that not everybody got a chance to introduce, which goes against tradition. So we very rarely break that tradition. I think it's just that some people have joined halfway through. We'll get you on the next call though. you will have your moment to embarrass yourself and introduce yourself. So, okay, good. We'll talk to everybody very soon. We'll see you on the next call.
See you.
Okay. Bye, guys. Bye, all.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.